It's time for the Bookie and the Bettor Show. If you're a sports fan, now it's time to play the odds and make every bet count. New episodes post every Thursday on your favorite streaming service. Now introducing Rob Kowalski, the Bookie, and Randy White, the Bettor.
Hey, welcome back to our show. I am your host, Robert Kowalski, also known as the Director of Sportsbook Operations at Baldini's Casino.
And I'm Randy White, the Bettor. I'm actually Director of Marketing at Baldini's, but I'm a winner, so Rob won't let me bet anymore in there, so I have to go other places because I'm a professional.
You know, the legend has it that you were not the Director of Marketing for Baldini's because, well, you were betting like furious amounts and like constantly winning.
Yes.
And then you said, listen, you're going to have to stop the betting. You were kicked out at one point, and you said, well, I'd like to stick around.
And it's a funny thing. You know, I used to have a stocking stash fund, so I used to put it in my socks in the drawer. Well, my wife started matching up socks and found the money. Now I put it in my golf bag.
So there's still some funds left.
Yes, yeah, there are little funds left.
You know, Randy, week 5, we've already entered, of the NFL season, and I got a feeling at this point, I'm going to have to take a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly at this point. I've got some surprises. I'm pretty sure you've got some that you probably have found as well. Look, initially, we kind of already had an idea of who the favorites were going to be, and it's kind of holding to form. The Niners, the Cowboys, the Eagles, of course, they're on a good roll as well. Some teams that, of course, maybe you didn't know how they were going to end up. And of course, injuries, which is, the main part of our show, which we focus on all the time, have taken their toll. And so how much has that begun to unravel a game plan of a franchise because of it? I mean, you could take a look now, Raiders, the Bengals, and Joe Burrow. Of course, Broncos, I don't know if injuries have anything to do with that. The Bears, and of course, the Giants. Randy, at this point, any surprises that you see?
Well, going back to week 1, and you're looking at the last 2 years.
Right.
7 different teams have made the playoffs each year. And I think you're going to see that again this year. The teams that were really great last year are missing something. And, even if you look at the Eagles are scoring points, but the defense is questionable. They're not the same team.
No,
and I know it's only, we've gone 4 weeks, but you're going to see some surprises in there. I really do believe
we would be having a different conversation if Kansas City did not win last week.
We might. And I'm telling you what, that's another team that I think is destined to have maybe 5-6 losses this year. Still may win the division.
Right, yeah, that's a lot more than what most expected.
Yeah.
Okay, so look, we've got a good slew of teams right now that are at 500. And I'm going to go ahead and present this to you. Right? A little proposition. I want to know of this group of teams. Better yet, instead of taking a look at this entire list, I want to hear a simple yes or a no. You've got something more to say about it, let me know. But here's some teams that are 2-2. I want to know which of this list is actually going to make the playoffs. Starting off with Steelers.
No, I'm not sold on Kenny Pickett. That defense is still nasty, and they play very well at home. But 8-8 isn't going to cut it.
Not that division. No,
and so until I see something out of that offense, I say no.
Staying in the division, the Browns.
No. And I won't even go any farther.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay.
The top of the organization down has made a blunder out of this team.
Colts.
I actually like Anthony Richardson. And now with Jonathan Taylor back,
yes,
they could be a surprise and sneak in.
I do agree. I from all the quarterbacks that were drafted back in May, I thought that Anthony Richardson was a steal. I thought he should have been the first quarterback off the board. The Texans, another team with a rookie quarterback, 2-2.
I'm just afraid of depth. Yeah. They are playing very well.
Yeah, they are.
But if once the injuries start to come, that defense, they're not real deep.
No.
So once the injuries start to roll up, I'm going to have to take them out because you're probably talking 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah. They're going to get losses.
Moving on then, a team that is going to be across the pond once again, the Jaguars.
And here's a team, perfect example. Last year surprised a lot of people. There's no surprises now.
No.
And this is not the same team. their running attack is nothing. So now you're putting pressure on Lawrence to come out and throw the football every other play. And it shows it's not working.
Team that looked fantastic against Cincinnati last week, Tennessee Titans.
Well, again, they're one-dimensional. Tannehill is not a great quarterback.
No, he's not.
Losing A.J. Brown probably hurt him. So now I think Henry carried the ball, 25, 26 times?
That was a lot for him.
So, and that's what it's going to take for them. And again, how long can they sustain that?
Maybe. You're right. Chargers.
Well, I thought last week, and again, there's something going on with Herbert. I mean, they got some great with Mike Williams and those guys at the wide receiver position. I know Eckler's been banged up, but there's something with Herbert. But you get Bosa back. Khalil Mack played like an animal last week.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it was against his old team.
He, going back to Herbert, he definitely didn't look right because either it's broken or dislocated his finger. We'll get to that in a little bit about the injuries. He definitely had something wrong with his throwing finger there. The Washington Commanders, 2-2.
Well, now here's a team that has a great defense. I'm not sold on Sam Howell yet. I know he's, rookie sensation. And even if we get into talk about the game this week, for them to be a 6-point favorite over anybody, I know they got a great defense. Right. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see it.
Okay.
That NFC East with the Cowboys and the Eagles, that's going to be tough to knock those two out. And if you look at the other divisions, you're going to really have some problem for them to sneak in as a wild card.
That's absolutely true. Green Bay Packers are 2-2.
I don't know what's going on with the offensive line. Bach doesn't want to play anymore, it sounds like. You make all these millions of dollars and he can dictate, I'm not playing. The defense is still a sieve. Jordan Love is going to have he's going to have to take his punches a little bit, but that defense scares me.
Okay. All right. That's fair. They haven't really broken free outside of that Chicago game. You're right offensively. Atlanta Falcons.
Again, rookie quarterback, right?
Yeah, Ritter's. He's got
2 years.
About a dozen, games.
I'm not sold on them.
Okay. Couple more to go as we're looking down the divisions. New Orleans Saints.
Well, again, Derek Carr, he's banged up. You talk about injuries again. Kamara, they've got some talent, and the defense is actually there. They may surprise, but again, when you look at that NFC, there's only a handful of spots out there. Yeah. I don't know that you can't be 9-7, I think, and get in.
I would go, well, okay, that's fair. I don't think that 9 wins gets you in this year. And I think that's actually where the Saints might not be able to get to. Look, they were on absolute house money so far in the first month of the season. The Saints were. I think, look, if you're going to have Carr get injured, there's far worse backups to have than Jameis Winston. And don't forget, this was just a first game back for Kamara. I think that we could see a real move to win the division. So I actually will pick among all these teams I just mentioned, and there's one more to go. The Saints, for me, would be the pick that at 2-2 would make the playoffs. Lastly, the LA Rams.
I'm telling you, you've already got, I think, the foundation now with Kupp and this
Puka Nacua.
Yeah. When Kupp comes back,
right? That's pretty.
He's going to have a heyday.
And
he's
nice
already thrown for 1,300 yards in 4 games. This is the team that I'm sure a lot of teams don't want to play.
So, again, you want to talk about stacked defense. Not stacked defense, rather stacked divisions. Everyone kind of had it already written into stone. And, Niners win the division right behind them by Seattle. It's kind of like the NFC East, where the problem is that you've got a team that's good, but, man, you got 2 really fantastic teams just ahead of them.
Well, and again, what we're talking about today, you got 7 teams, right? Or no more than 7. What do we got, 9?
Right.
9 teams, 2-2. We're in week 4, and we're already asking which one of these teams are going to make the playoffs. It's going to be that tough. And going back to what I just said a minute ago, the last 2 years, 7 different teams have made it to the playoffs each year.
Right.
If that holds true again this year, you're going to have some surprises.
Every single week we want to focus on, the point spreads that come out, the totals that get matched up to them, strictly off of injuries. And I knew literally after week 1, it was going to just be loaded with content, and there was going to be factors that were going to play into it. And look, these athletes are just absolute freight trains. I just thought of something, Randy, when we look at it, and I've got some injury updates here for everyone, and we could just take a look at as we move on into week number 5. But I'm just thinking, like, I'm kind of a big boy. I'm about 6 feet, on a good day, I'm about 225. Nick, what are you clocking in at? You're like 6'3", 6'4"? 6'5"? Okay, so like I could just imagine if like I'm carrying the ball.
I'm 6'3" in high school, but as you age, you're still, when you age, you start to shrink. But I was 6'3". I'm 5'9" now.
No, Mendiga. I do not believe any of this.
I'm telling you. It's like, and I asked the doctor, I said, Doc, really, seriously, how can this happen? And he says, as you get older, your back compresses. So I'm just hoping nothing else compresses, and we'll talk about that later.
So my thought was that if I get the ball handed off to me by you and I'm 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage and I see a hole, I cut through it, and then Nick, the linebacker, meets me with a 10-yard running start, I literally shatter. I would just shatter into 100 million pieces. These players have to deal with this literally every single play. That's why I'm shocked if offensive linemen or even defensive linemen don't come out of the game like, I can't do this. I need like a week off.
Well, and I've seen a stat, and I can't verify it, but on Monday, so far for the first 4 weeks, every team has got 2.3 injuries compared to 1.4 last year. So guys are bigger, stronger, and it's like Derrick Henry. If you're going to carry the ball 25, 30 times, how can you sustain 17 games of doing that?
You can't. You can't, no matter what kind of equipment you're wearing. So,
yeah.
All right, let me go ahead and put on my doctor glasses here as we move on to our very important segment here to talk about these injuries. Randy, I'm going to go and just focus on some of these key ones. Look, Joe Burrow at preseason had the calf injury, and this is clearly something that's still limiting him. He got sacked 3 times, 9 quarterback hits. He's not really able to drop back or escape. Probably, we saw it very limited last week. I don't know that was an embarrassment because he just wasn't ready for it.
He may be okay this week, but if you're a pocket passer and can't move in today's NFL, you're going to risk an injury. And, to your headline point, one player doesn't make a team. But when you start looking at the quarterbacks, the Rodgers and even Mahomes last year, and you see what happened with Purdy in the playoffs, you get a quarterback that's carried you, and he's hurt. Not only is there the mental psyche, let alone you got to go to the backup, but a pocket passer, they're really risking injury here to him that might be worse than a couple of games.
Maybe because I'm just paying more attention to the actual games. And just full disclosure, as a bookmaker, sometimes I just don't have time to watch even one game, right? I just got to put up the number, handle all the funds that start coming in so I could just figure out how to move for the next step. So I really don't have a lot of time to watch. I've watched a lot of football, especially in week 4. Randy, these quarterbacks are holding the ball longer and longer than ever. I mean, to the point where they're just the last possible second before they get absolutely annihilated.
And, I coached at the high school level in Pop Warner, nothing in college or pro. But I talked about this last week to a few guys in the sports book. I cannot believe the amount of quarterbacks that are looking on a primary receiver. Now, they've been playing college football, high school football. You don't go to your check downs, and they're holding on the ball, and now you are risking injury in the NFL.
Looking at other quarterbacks, Chargers Justin Herbert, that splint suggested he has a dislocated finger. It's on his non-throwing hand. So to me, the only thing that I figure is probably a little bit more of a mild increase in fumble risk. Otherwise, low impact there. Kenny Pickett of the Steelers, what we saw on video versus what's going to show up on the MRI looked like MCL, possibly ACL, maybe even meniscus damage. If it's only an MCL damage, he's going to probably be looking at being very limited for the next 2 to 4 weeks. Randy, if you had known this and you're looking at the spread right now with Baltimore coming in to Pittsburgh, what would you think the line would be?
I'm actually saying it would be there. Pittsburgh at home is nasty. That defense will cause Lamar some problems. They really will. And that's all. That's basically all that is the defense.
Okay.
They're ferocious as a home team.
Right.
And that defense will be coming. Lamar better be careful.
Okay. So regardless of the status of Kenny Pickett, you still think they keep this one within a field goal then?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Onwards. Injuries to some key wide receivers. Mike Evans of the Bucks, T. Higgins of the Bengals, and Devontae Adams of the Raiders, all of them with real injuries that are going to last a while. Evans, the stretching that I saw on the sideline suggests a mild hamstring injury. That looks like a 2-week injury. T. Higgins, rib fracture, bottom line. So that's going to take average 2 weeks. So he's going to probably come in week 6. So again, we're not having Burrow 100%. Now he's going to be missing Higgins. Real problems in Cincinnati as if they needed more. Adams has an AC sprain. Likely he got an injection in the locker room, so it's a low re-injury risk. As long as he doesn't take another direct fall Monday night, he'll probably be okay. But that's exactly what happened to him. One last one, another wide receiver, Terry McLaurin for the Commanders. Finally fully recovered from his turf toe injury. Did quite well last Sunday, so we'll see what comes up this Thursday.
And here's another back to Joe Burrow. So you've got 2 guys banged up on the offensive line. You got their skill position players hurt. Why would you play him? Because now he's a pocket passer, and you're just taking more risk. I don't understand the logic behind all the money they just gave him.
Yeah, right.
And you may lose him. So somebody has to help me understand that.
All right, so let me put a general manager's hat on you. Let's say I'm the owner of the franchise, and I hired you to be the general manager, and I say I want one thing and one thing only. I want a Super Bowl ring right now.
Well, okay, you're 1-3.
I don't care. I want to win.
Here's where I'm going with this. You're 1-3. Okay, you're a quarter of the season.
That's
especially in that division. Rest him.
Fair enough. All right, Randy. Good. Look, we never want to wrap up a show without some key information that I want to pass along. And look, there's awful lot of interest and awful lot of great different pools that everyone can contribute to. You've been, I want to dare to say, pretty accurate with your picks so far. But I want to go ahead and really start to put some screws in here. Okay. Right? And so obviously from a survivor pool perspective, you're finding yourself really rolling with some selections. So forget about, I want to go ahead and start to give you a little bit of limitations.
Okay.
Right?
Are we still picking 2?
No. And here's why.
Okay.
You cannot pick the Detroit Lions, who's the second largest favorite on the board. I think, and you cannot pick the Miami Dolphins, who I believe is the largest pick. That is the largest favorite against the New York Giants. Matter of fact, that's correct. So it's the Lions as a 10-point favorite. The Dolphins are an 11-point favorite as of this recording. So can't pick them. So who would you pick?
I'm going Kansas City Chiefs this week. And again, they're going to have some guys back.
Yeah.
And again, looking at Kelsey the other night, coming off a Monday night game, Mahomes looked like he was frantic back there. And again, this is back to the Jets.
The Jets defense is really good.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So I think they're going to put some points. The Minnesota defense is a sieve. This has Kansas City written all over. I am shocked by the line at 4.5.
It got moved. I'm going to tell you something here. Just a complete news flash. It's down to 3.5. So huge steam coming in on Minnesota.
Well,
it's in.
Randy likes sticking with it.
It doesn't matter. The recording's done.
Yeah,
you picked Kansas City.
But back to the Lions and Dolphins.
Right, fine.
I do like both of them this week, even with the big spread. I really believe the Lions win 31-17, and I really do believe that, again, looking contrary to what happened with Miami last week, Miami rolls 34-10.
I don't think the Giants get 10 points.
They're going to get 10 just because they're going to play better than they did to an extent. But again, Daniel Jones.
You better don't put the blame on him.
I'm not. I'm just saying that line was terrible.
Yeah, no,
he got sacked really 10 times. And who knows how many times he was hit. 10 times.
I'm ashamed of them. I feel lots of shame.
He should start really going back to rolling concrete.
All right, look, baseball's in the playoffs, right? We're up to the divisional series, and I got a pretty, I want to say, I was a little shocked to see the wild card round wrap up with sweeps across the board. So they'll have their rest. Obviously, I don't think that the teams like the Dodgers and the Astros and the Braves are really complaining too much because I'm sure they want to play some meaningful baseball. Let everyone know your pick right now for the World Series, but you can't pick the Dodgers or the Braves. So, someone from the AL.
You know where I'm going. I got to go with Dusty and the Astros.
I can't fault you there.
And again, you look at what's just happened this week. A short series in Major League Baseball. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
And again, you can pitch your aces. It's going to be interesting when they do get to the 7-game series. Back in the old days, you'd have your ace starter throw 3 games out of 7.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they don't want to, they might go into the 6th inning, so will they get another day?
6th? I don't think there were some starters that went into the 5th even.
Yeah. So it's a different ball game, and congratulations to Arizona and Minnesota. But when you get to the 7-game series, let's see how deep the pitching staff is. And it was kind of interesting. I think the Milwaukee Brewers, I think Council used all 9 of his pitchers the other night. All 9.
He's got to go. I mean, look, things can happen in the middle of the game, right? Obviously, you have an opportunity to score. I think they had 2 on in 1 inning. The next inning, he had the bases loaded. I don't know. Maybe it's just he's not afraid to pull pitchers. I mean, you might want to start to do some situational hitters, especially when you know that you have an advantage and you need to score a run. I don't know what it's.
And here's again the reliever, Rob. And I know the Tommy John type injury has been there forever, but you heard more about it. It's more prevalent now in years. So you look at these major league pitchers; they're only going 5 innings.
Yeah.
Some 4.
Yeah.
Some coaches are platooning, starting 3-3-3. So it's a whole different ball game. So now you can say, hey, the Justin Verlanders of the world, but you know who the key people are, is those mid-relievers. The mid-relievers set it up for the closer. So when you look at a team and you look at the Astros, they've had some sluggish problems with their starters here at the end of the season, but their mid-relief is pretty darn good.
I don't know. Look, the game is just nothing like the way it was even just a few years ago. At this point, just close your eyes when you're up to the plate and just swing as hard as you can. And that's all really you got to do at this point.
Who would believe that you have no New York Yankees in the playoffs? Who would have believed that?
Not going to see me crying.
It's just, this is where baseball has gone.
All right, Randy. This was, it's fun. This one was a tight episode. It probably got your feet to the fire in this one. I've got a feeling Minnesota is going to bring it. I'm very, I don't know, maybe I just find myself rooting for dogs a little bit more than I like, but I think Kansas City's going to have their hands full, so I'm really looking forward to chatting again.
Well, you know what I said last week, and you go back the last 7 years. Week number 4 has upsets and blowouts. If you go all 7 years. So is it teams they're seeing a little bit more film?
Right.
Obviously playing together. But 7 straight years, week number 4, and there was some upsets last week, and there was a few blowouts. Now, this week, home teams, to your point, if you go back the last 7 years, on week number 5, home teams are like 72%.
Yeah, it's absolutely been flipped upside down in the NFL this year, and it's a stat that you could definitely take home, and you could see it anywhere. It's the favorite in the NFL this year has been very, very successful. It's almost 70% right now that they're, pretty much good to pick it up. So if they're the favorite, they're pretty much going to win it.
And back to the point of betting, Baldini says the best parlay card in town, if not the whole state, with the B reward card. Now, perfect example, you bet 5 teams and up, lose 1, you still win at Baldini's. And this might be the week. It's a great card, Rob. Very good card.
So then to end our show today, I'm going to go ahead and put you in a position where you simply have to lose 1. All right, here's your choice, Randy.
Of the team that's...
No, none of that. This is completely...
Don't throw a ringer at me here. Okay.
You have to choose 1.
Okay.
Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck?
Where did you get that from?
Doesn't matter.
100 duck-sized horses? No, you don't want to fight the masses. You want 1. Go for the strength.
That's our show, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you for listening to the Bookie and the Bettor Show. New episodes post every Thursday on your favorite streaming service.